WNST town here, at least till the game starts. Luke and I will be at the Confluence in Pittsburgh. All of our WNST coverage, of course, brought to you by our friends at Cole Roofing. And each and every week we get together because Bill Cole and I like each other and like to talk sports and all sorts of weird things in the business space. He joins us now for Pittsburgh week. This is a crazy week because even outside of Baltimore, and this is the rivalry, I guess, over during this century. I remember when you and I were kids, it was like Redskins and Cowboys. Remember that? And Alabama and Auburn and Yankees and Red Sox. It is kind of interesting how Ravens and Steelers has become that in the NFL, and I don't know if there's any second place. There's no other rivalry. Patriots, Colts, when it was Manning and Brady a little bit, but not same division. But this continues to be the best rivalry in sports, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard for us to have perspective outside of here, but it does seem like in the NFL there is no greater matchup that gets everyone's interest than that game. And I would assume it's because no matter how good the teams are, the games are always great. So even if one team is struggling and the other one is, in first place and looks like they're going to the Super Bowl, they still play to like a 3-point game, and there's crazy hits and crazy plays and coaches walking on the field to block returns, and just there's always some kind of drama.
Yeah, so, man, if I was going to do like top 10 moments in the Steeler-Raven rivalry, I mean, which wouldn't matter who wins or who loses or whatever, there would be that would be a long reel, wouldn't it? There's the famous picture of Ray kneeling on Roethlisberger after sacking him. But I think part of this rivalry, and I haven't talked to anybody about this week, and I probably should talk to some of the Pittsburgh guys about this as I line them up this week. It's a rivalry that is a rivalry because the Hatfields and the McCoys never changed family members, right? So I think when it was Yankees and Red Sox and it was Lou Piniella and Carlton Fisk and, the guys that didn't like each other and it lingered longer, Ripken never had that because Ripken was never a bad guy, right? Ripken couldn't have a rivalry with anybody, right? So, but in this thing, there's good guys and bad guys. Everyone hates Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs. Everyone in Baltimore, everyone in football hates Hines Ward and Ben Roethlisberger. And, Jerome Bettis was the good guy and all that stuff. But these guys that last 10, 15 years with franchises, this franchise has been here 23 years. Until 5 years ago, Ray Lewis had played in every game, right? And right. Jerome Bettis had played in most of them until he left. Hines Ward had played in like all of them until he left. And now when you take Suggs and Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown and Marshall Yanda and you start to mix Flacco's been here 11 years, it's the same guys, which is part of the problem with college sports, right? These guys only last a year or two or three. Even the guys at Duke that went 4 years, they would graduate, and you couldn't hate on Shane Battier anymore, So when guys move on, it kind of messes the rivalry up a little bit, I think.
I think it can deepen it. It can, heighten it. But it probably is a product of the Ravens do a good job of being out in the public, and our public is very clear about our dislike for the Steelers. So when you're a rookie and you show up at a press conference or they march out their fancy new guys, somebody in the crowd, somebody's telling them, hey, look, just make sure you beat Pittsburgh. So I think
Willie Steve brought that up with me this week. Literally, you can go listen into buyatoyota.com audio vote. I said, Pittsburgh. He said, man, everybody tells me this is different. He said, we had Atlanta in New Orleans, and I'm like, that's a little different. No one talks about the Saints-Falcons rivalry outside of New Orleans and Atlanta, but everyone in Atlanta and New Orleans knows about Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Well, I liken it to I had a general dislike for Tomlin. Because he was the Steeler coach for no other reason, right? And it wasn't until, your relationship with him and getting to, see him live and in person in non-football circumstances was like, whoa, okay, hold on. He might actually be a good dude. So I guess I can't always rely on my colored sunglasses.
Well, Bill Cowher's not a good guy, trust me. I've never met him. I don't know anything about it, but I don't like him because he was a Steelers coach, right. So, right. That's the way it works. Bill Cole's here. It's Cole Roofing and Fister Energy. He is one of our sponsors. Of course, we do our community and charity chats every Thursday. I got a bunch of stuff lined up here this week, so a little shout out. I'm going to have Russ Hurd on from Spooktacular. I've got a feature with the Children's Home and Gail Lee as well. And I've also we're going to be doing John Lederer and Zacking Against Cancer, which I'm sure you're familiar with. A Maryland initiative. I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about the Maryland and about the Jordan McNair, and I had John Frankel on and Real Sports this week in HBO, one of my favorite shows, and John Frankel called and said, hey, I want to come on. I did a Maryland piece. You can hear that in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. Man, we're 3 months out on this kid's death. We're a month and a half out on all hell breaking loose for Durkin and what happened there. And now we're into the football season where even in a bye, we're looking at a Michigan game where the team's 3-1, and the team is relevant. I don't know that people want to go watch them play. I mean, obviously the stands are empty. But I know you've been doing a little high school recon as well. And John Frankel brought up to me that there have been 29 deaths in college football in this century, and it just keeps happening, and no one does anything about it.
Yeah, I think it's weird. I think that there tends to be some undertones of football as a sport being challenged at the youth ages, and into high school.
Well, Friends just canceled their program from lack of interest. I saw that headline, right?
Yeah, that's weird. And then there was another one that couldn't continue the game because they had 2 injuries and they had no other players to put on the field. So clearly, I don't have any research data to tell you that the numbers are down, but being on the soccer field all weekend long, all I hear about is parents, and maybe no one's talking about putting their 5-year-old or 7-year-old in football, and I would probably not argue with that at all, but that conversion is happening later. They get to middle school and they start coming home talking to their parents about wanting to play football, and at that point, at least they weigh more than the equipment that they have to wear. So,
or the football itself.
Right. So at that point, maybe there's some conversion happening. But, I think it's interesting. I think it'd be interesting to watch because, you look at the top level out there and last year's season and all the drama that's sort of unfootball related and people kind of like trying to turn away, but, it's Sunday. What else do you do besides watch football? So everyone keeps coming back. And then, you get all these grumblings at the college level about, for years the recruiting is, questionable and all this stuff. And then you get bad behavior and put on top of that medical concerns by parents and lawsuits about concussions. And they just have a lot. When you're the biggest story, when you're the biggest company, the biggest brand, the biggest TV contract, the Super Bowl, you are going to be at risk for everything. And the story that's being told right now is, I think, concerning to parents.
Bill Cole is here from Cole Roofing and Fister Energy. When do you officially turn 100 years old as a company? I mean, it's been 99 years. I know it's 1919. It's coming at some point. Are you going to, officially start the celebration January 1st?
Yeah, we really don't have any other choice. Apparently, in 1919, the record keeping is a little bit questionable, and I think we focused more, on getting the work done than saving anything or, being very documentative from the historian standpoint. So it's very questionable. So, yeah, we're just, lucky for us, we get to celebrate for a whole year, and there's not actually one day.
I get 2 celebrations next year. My dad's birthday is March 5th. He would have turned 100 on March 5th. And my mom's birthday is July 26th, and she would have turned 100 on July 26th. So I have a big celebration next year. Both my parents are the same age as Cole Roofing, which turns 100 next year, along with Fister Energy, putting solar panels on roofs, fixing commercial roof spaces, helping people like me keep people like you dry when you come into buildings, and, of course, using roof spaces in new and interesting ways. I want to get some baseball in here with you. Let's be honest, baseball was the first thing for all of us. This is the end of the season this week. It's going to go quietly. What do you expect as a longtime Oriole follower? Do you expect, Buck to like drop the mic at 4:15 on Sunday afternoon and never come. I'm wondering how the PR of this plays out because, quite frankly, Angelos has never really had any success other than, financially, other than Davey Johnson, and that was an ugly departure. I'm wondering after this period of success that they've had the last couple of years, Duquette, Jones, and Showalter, all the rumors are Duquette's not going anywhere. I guess they figured out that, Brian Sabian's not coming here to run the Orioles anytime soon, and Theo Epstein's unavailable. It is fascinating that they're going to throw Buck out, or Buck's just saying, dude, I'm out. I don't want anybody. I'm done. We're firing Buck. No. Buck's contract's up, and I don't think Buck wants to come back here and deal with this. Crazy town, as they call it over at the warehouse. For me, I'm fascinated to see how this gets managed publicly in the media, which they've never had any concern for, how they even manage it on their own website, how they're trying to manage their own PR here in the offseason where this is going to be a real cold period of time we're going into. The Orioles' ice age, we thought that was back at the turn of the century. I don't know, man. I don't know where the light and the crack is at the end of all of this. But I know the season ends this week, and over the next 6 months, they're not going to play baseball. All they can play is PR and communications, and they're so horrible at that sometimes in these off seasons, it feels like they just go into a hole, and you don't hear from them again until, like, Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that certainly is true. It's like a really long vacation. I don't really know. But I think I'm curious to, I don't know what Buck wants to do, right? So
not lose, I bet.
I agree with that. But, like, does Buck have the energy and the desire to, and does he find it intriguing to take some young guys and try and develop something and do a rebuilding? You wouldn't think so, right? And you do that inside the dysfunctional organization, and you say, yeah, okay, no thanks.
And if you've been there long enough, it's dysfunctional. It's always been dysfunctional. And it's not going to function normally anytime soon with these guys running it, because if it were going to function normally, they'd be out in front of it already. People like me and you would know who they are. Have you ever met John or Lou Angelos?
No.
Yeah, and you're an Oriole fan, and your family's owned a company here, a major company, for 100 years. That's the problem. The problem is they don't know anyone, and no one likes them. I don't know them, and I don't like them. I don't like them because I don't like the way it's been operated from the outside, and obviously I don't like the way I've been treated, and they don't return my phone calls. So I have money. I have a credit card. I have Oriole stuff. I could buy tickets if they treated me right. But they don't, and I don't know that any of that is coming. I think they think we're just going to march better baseball players out there and it'll all take care of itself. Not right now, it won't.
Yeah, I think that, like, Buck seems to be the most visible thing that we're going to try and pay attention to, but really they're so broken at the top. And there's, family dynamic stuff there and Major League Baseball's opinion and stuff. And, they got to get that sorted out before anybody even in the organization can take them seriously, because they all might be out of a job, I mean, they could potentially have new owners. I don't know.
I hope so. That's why I'm wearing the hat here. This is the same hat from 06, Billy. I busted this out. It's still fresh and nice, but Major League Baseball told Ken Rosenthal, the people that run it all, run the sport, told Ken Rosenthal, we don't know who's running the place. We can't get a return call there from anyone. I mean, it's incredible. It really is.
Yeah, and while that is up in the air and there's no, understanding of what's moving forward, I don't think Duquette has anywhere to go, and nobody obviously is going to come in. And the same thing goes for Buck. I mean, if Buck is interested in another job or Buck wants to go do something, then I think very quickly, he does drop the mic, walk out the door, and he's on to his next thing. If he doesn't really care one way or the other, then it may linger for a while because there's no one making any decisions. There's no plan. There's no, they got to get in the room and make a plan, which doesn't seem to be something that they're interested in doing to begin with. So I would assume that, I'm going to laugh at you every time you bring them up from now until forever, because I don't see any reason that they become relevant anytime, while I'm still alive.
How about Adam Jones, too? I mean, you talk about Buck. Buck's going to go away and be quiet. Buck's not on Twitter being a loudmouth. Adam Jones has been mouthy the day before he got here. When they traded for him, he spoke to the media before he got on the plane and pissed them off. He pissed them off when he was a quad A player and a prospect. And now he's about to go out and do his little tailgate, this and that, and he'll sign his deal somewhere else. But, he leaves here feeling grossly mistreated, even though he's taking $100 million along with him.
Yeah, I think he will talk about it up until the point where he has something more interesting to talk about. Because it's really not that interesting. Like, it's not even all that exciting. I don't know where that ranks in the paper's coverage of, the Orioles. Like, is that the most exciting thing? That it, Adam Jones is talking badly about the team that everyone thinks is operating badly. Like, I maybe he'll talk, but it's really not that interesting to anyone because we all kind of see it for what it is.
By the way, I figured out how John Vitamin got here. I got a little tip on this about 2 weeks ago. Big story in the Sacramento paper that an executive named Jeffrey David, who was kind of in charge of the Miami Heat, was being investigated for siphoning millions of dollars from sponsors during his time as the Sacramento Kings leader and buying beachfront property in Southern California. So the Miami, I wonder, why would a guy leave the Miami Heat and come to the Baltimore Orioles, right, in the middle of summer? The Miami Heat had problems. So we've learned that there's been some tussle in their front office as well, as reported by the Sacramento Bee 3 weeks ago. So, everybody said to me, why would anybody take, I know I said that to you about 3 months ago, why would somebody come and take this job? Like you just said, they can't fire Dan because they can't get anybody to take the job. Somebody will take their managerial job. I mean, Rick Dempsey's pined for that job for 20 years. He's been kissing Peter's ass on television for 15 years trying to get that job. Somebody will be the manager, but to your point, taking over baseball personnel and leaving a cushy job as number 2 or number 3 with the Diamondbacks or the Cardinals or even the Marlins, you wouldn't do that. In baseball, you don't take this job, which is how Dan Duquette got it to begin with.
Well, I think if someone could get the feeling that they would be giving a real chance, I think the job presents a whole lot of upside and not a lot of downside. So you could be very opportunistic in saying, we could really do something special. They could have a lot of success. They could be the architect, the Billy Bean or whatever. You could make a mark because there's so much room to get better. But at the same time, how could you walk into a meeting and come out of there feeling like you would be put in a position to actually affect change when all of these other people, some of which have, great track records and experience and know what they're doing, and all the talk ever is that, that you're not really able to make decisions or do anything. So you have, the attraction of somebody looking to build something great, but on the other side, you don't think you'll actually be able to pull it off.
Bill Cole is here, Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. He visits with us each and every week and, of course, sponsors our community and charity series. If you want to be involved in that, have your story told, just email me, nasty@WNST.net. We line them up and chat them up and learn them up and then send them out and hopefully making the world a better place. Bill, I appreciate you, man. Any predictions on Ravens Steelers this week? Is this the week you're sort of a little bullish on going up there and winning? I am. I mean, Luke and I are getting on the plane going up Sunday morning, and I think they're going to win Sunday night. I do.
Yeah, other than, just general road concerns being on the road, I like our chances. I think we're a solid team. I think we can handle adversity. I think we've learned a lot in a short couple weeks. So, I expect to win. I know it won't be easy, but I expect to win.
Yeah, let's stay awake late. Let's get together again next week. We'll do it again. Appreciate the sponsorship and the support. And at some point, you and I will go to a baseball game together. It just might be minor league.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
You got it. Bill Cole joining us here for Pfister Energy and Cole Roofing. You can learn more about all that they've done for 99 and a half or 3/4 of years at coleroofing.com. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. The morning newspaper ships digitally to your email inbox, free of charge, and all powered up by Planet Fitness and planetfitness.com. I am Nestor, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, doing some charity and community work and awaiting the baseball playoffs and the Ravens in Pittsburgh. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.